Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Apriem Financial Cents. In this episode, episode 17, we're seeking to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that we get, which is, what do I get from working with a financial advisor? I've heard it asked in multiple ways, right? Do I need a financial advisor? Why should I work with you? Right? There's all sorts of different ways this question gets asked, but in the end, I mean, it's the real question is the same. What is the value that I'm getting for entering into this relationship with an advisor? And so as we go through the process of trying to answer this question, know that all firms are different. We all do things a little bit differently, right? And so we're going to answer the best that we can from the perspective of Apriem Advisors. There's going to be differences across the board, but I think all of us advisors out there have the same common goal, which is we want to bring as much value to you as we possibly can. And so I think the only way we could do the answer to this question any justice was for us, we needed to break it into 4 parts. So in this case, part 1, I sit down with Lindsay Duran, who is the client services manager here at Apriem Advisors. And we're going to talk with her about how when you enter into that advisory relationship with Apriem, you add this boutique client services department to your team. Put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's never worked with an advisor before.
Right.
Okay. And let's pretend like you're going online and you're going to go and you're going to search, do I need a financial advisor? When you get that information back and it's talking about, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, most people that I talk to that are prospects, we sit down and what do they think? They think a financial advisor manages their money. And then it's all about well, are you going to get me a higher rate of return than I could get myself?
Right.
And that's it. That's all people think that an advisor does.
Yeah.
Right. But then doing what you do now, right? Working in client services, there's so many things that you guys are doing that would be such a nightmare for the everyday person to have to do themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's time consuming, and then
and that's the message that I want to try to get across to people is you're not just paying for somebody to get a return on your investments. You're also paying to have your own personal boutique service team that's here. When you need something, they're the ones that go out and get that done and accomplished for you. Because as much as we all like to be oh, well, I could do it myself, you could.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to be a heck of a lot more stressful doing it yourself because you don't do it every day, but you do.
Yes.
Right? So regardless of who it is, you are so much more of an expert at all of that. You're more of an expert than I am. I don't know what to do. So if you were talking to you're at a barbecue and somebody asks what do you do? What I mean, there's what our firm does, right. But then there's what do you do in the client services department?
So, well, in our department, it would be consist of Sean, Sunny, and myself.
Right.
We basically service all our clients and their accounts and anything that they need. So we're usually also the first person that when you call in, you speak to us, and then we usually try and figure out what your questions are, or if there's a problem, how to solve it. Or if you're trying to reach someone in particular, whether it's in trading or in, your financial plan, then we can help you, get to that person. But most of the time it's us dealing with client questions on their accounts. Schwab is our custodian, so we are able to work, between Schwab and the client.
Give us an example. It's probably the most common question that you...
Surprisingly, one of them, of course, which is not really a shocker in today's day of technology, is logging into Schwab. And trying to call Schwab Alliance on your own is already difficult as it is, because you have to go through multiple prompts and maybe get past security questions, but then we're able to actually help them by calling Schwab with them most of the time,
right? Or
allowing giving them information to help them do it on their own.
Yeah.
Also, other ones are change of addresses. Transferring funds is a big one. And with fraud being so high, we have to speak to you before doing that.
Yeah.
As of lately, we've had a lot of clients where fraud has seemed to be, much higher. And instead of them trying to go through Schwab on their own or figure out what's wrong, we can help them with that and work directly with Schwab and their fraud team to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Right.
So a lot of ours is making sure that our clients' accounts are secure, because that's the biggest thing these days is, making sure that nobody can get access to them because this is their life savings and this is what they put into it.
Right.
So that's like a major one as of lately, especially we've been seeing.
Well, so let me ask you this. So, you kind of mentioned like even getting on the phone with a client and then calling into Schwab. Couldn't they just call Schwab direct? Like why from your perspective, why is it better that they call you first versus just calling into Schwab themselves?
I mean, that makes sense. But what I found is we're able to sort of speak Schwab.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's hard to articulate what you're wanting or needing. And then when the client's calling in, maybe they're frustrated or, they don't really know what to ask. But we're able to also be like that person where we can call in and say with them, hey, we're going to be here with you. We're going to make sure it gets done and it gets done right. Yeah. Because a lot of times they've already tried maybe, or they don't even know they're supposed to do that.
Right.
So we're able to take that like guesswork out and be like, okay, are we okay? Do you have any other questions? Also, what I found is when we're on the line with them, we can ask additional questions that they wouldn't have asked because they don't know.
Right.
People just don't know. And what you don't know is, not your fault. It's just there's so much to know when you're calling into these places.
Right.
And we're able to help them with that.
Yeah, it's different when you're in it every single day.
Yeah.
Right. And you're used to coming across a lot of those small things that people wouldn't even know exist if they weren't doing it every day like you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? So knowing what working in the client services department, what would you say is probably the biggest value add or benefit to somebody who's working with an advisor that all of a sudden gets to add this boutique, client services piece to their life?
No, I understand like why people wouldn't necessarily think they would need an advisor, but one of the things that we have heard often from clients is when they call, somebody answers. A lot of places, and that sounds sort of, corny probably to some people, but when they call, you're like, oh, like you're actually going to take my phone call and listen to what I have to say and then get me the answer or help me.
Yeah.
That's sort of one thing that especially our team, we pride ourselves on is being able to get back to a client, get what they need. Now that I've worked here for a little over 5 years now, I've seen, as time has gone on, what we do when you have a dedicated service team and then financial planning, investment, wealth manager. I mean, you have people that you can call for every question that you may have. And even if we don't have the answer right away, we're going to find it for you.
Right.
And that is something that is kind of invaluable in a lot of ways because people just don't do that. It's hard enough trying to go online and figure things out on your own. Is this even right for you? Do you even know like what you're doing? And people go online like, yeah, I just, you can download an app and are you even doing it right? Is this actually something you should be doing?
Yeah.
I think expertise is a long ways. We have, of course, clients who are very knowledgeable in their own finances, but they're also very busy and they don't want to have to take the time to do that. And then not only that, we're there to help their families.
Right.
Make sure that their spouses and their kids and grandkids are taken care of.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That's probably one of the biggest ones we have, especially in life-changing events. I do see that's been, as clients get older, and people pass away, when they inherit, or when the spouse is going through losing, their husband or wife, we're there to help take all that administrative work for them. Mm-hmm. So that way they can, grieve.
Right.
Because that's one of the hardest things that we do. But it's also one of the most rewarding things that we do because we're there to help them. And we see it every day. And I think that, especially for an advisor like us, we don't do a whole like one size fits all situation.
Yeah.
We're not like, here's your plan and this is what the investments are going to be in and this is how we're going to treat you. Every single person is customized, but we all treat our clients. I mean, it is true like family.
Right.
Because we will do whatever it takes.
Yeah. I think that word boutique is what kind of sticks out in my mind, right? Because you said something, if I'm kind of taking it back a little bit to the beginning of what you were talking about, how when people call, we answer the phone. We don't have automated systems here. And so if we don't have automated systems and lots of people are calling in, I think it would be fun for you to describe, how do our systems here work, our phone systems, when somebody's calling in and somebody's on the line? Right. If somebody's already picked up and they're talking to somebody, what does our systems do here?
So our system will roll, the phone will roll, to another phone, and it goes to multiple phones in the office. That way, your call isn't missed. And if by any chance your call is missed, we will give you a call back. Because that is, we'll be able to see and confirm, hey, did you guys pick that up? What do they need?
Right.
And, that's something that's very important to us, is making sure that we are getting back to our clients and being available for them.
Yeah.
Because, that's what we're here for. That is our job.
So kind of on that note, in today's day and age, especially with like the big AI boom and everything that's going on right now, technology is getting more and more advanced, right? And it's, part of it is meant to make it easier to do things yourself. And so I definitely think, especially like a lot of younger individuals that are coming in all this, like they're very much do-it-yourselfers.
Yes.
Do you think there's still a place for paying an advisor to be your advisor and bringing that firm, hiring that firm to help support you? If technology is good, we can do these things ourselves. Is there still a place, I think, for working with having a service team on your side?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say yes and no for that. I think it depends on how complex people's finances are. I think starting out when, kids are, trying it out themselves, starting to save, I do think a lot of that is great tools for them, but it's also having the knowledge to use those tools.
Right.
And nobody really has time to really sit and learn all these tools that we have now, especially with AI.
Right.
And also, what is it doing? It is very easy to jump on that wagon and be like, am I missing out? But when being able to sit down with an advisor and be like, is this actually right for me? And discuss your finances, your goals, what are your circumstances?
Right.
They're so different. And that is why you have to have an advisor if it's right for you.
Yeah.
And there's different types of advisors out there, but especially for what we do, we're still getting clients during the AI age. So clearly it's not for everybody.
Right.
And AI can't do everything. It just can't. You go online and you try and, find certain answers, they might be incorrect too. So.
Right. I could definitely say that, there's lots of great software that's out there,
yes.
But eventually along the way, if you use something enough, you run into some type of a hiccup where you don't know how to do something or something's not working out right. And then you go to the website and there's no phone number. Right. Or you go into the app because maybe there isn't even a website for it. It's just an app on your phone.
Right.
And, you try to get help and it's like a chat box,
yes.
But the chat box has you talking to some AI bot.
Yes.
And you're like, I really just want to talk to a real human being.
Exactly.
I don't think we're at a point where that can be replaced yet.
No.
And I think that having a team like you guys on my side is something that I would find value in, something that I would want. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that that's not for everyone.
Right.
Right? There are people that are just very much do-it-yourselfers. They're happy to do it themselves. They're happy to get on the phone and make the call. But I think that it's important to note, like, if you're not that person and you're like, hey, I'm busy, I just want to do what I want to do, and I would rather pay somebody else to do a lot of these things for me. I think that that's some of the benefit that I think gets missed sometimes. It's not always just about performance on a portfolio report that you're working with an advisor for. It's all these additives that they get along the way that make their life easier.
Well, that's pretty much like what we do, right? And then also not only that, we have our wealth managers meet with clients, and also we take the time to do the paperwork with clients if they have questions, or, get it to them the way they can understand it, or, complete it, because who has time to really do, and then, do these things.
Right.
So that's another call that we get a lot is, can you just explain to me like how these things work, or being able to call in and say, hey, I got this notice from Schwab. What is it?
Right.
And that's a big part of that's also a big part of our job. We need to know what our custodian's doing, but clients are constantly, they do listen to us when we're like, please don't click on links, or, please call us if there's anything that happens. And they do, and then we're able to help them.
Yeah.
Because it's much easier coming, for us to do it. Cause like you said, we do this every day. And then not only that, we see when clients start to get older and helping, their family become the caregivers. That's a big thing now, especially with, the older population, growing.
Right.
And we're able to help them make sure that all their finances are in a row, being able to have that, I guess, like peace of mind, that like we're going to take care of their families, and everything, if they pass and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's something that we really work on too, to make sure that it's not just about them and their finances, but it's about, are they going to be okay?
Well, and I know, I've seen you, I've seen Sean, even Sunny, where you guys will step out of the office to go and visit a client. Maybe they need a notary, or there's a specific document that they need signed, and maybe they're not tech savvy, right? And so you guys will go and visit them at their home, or even the hospital, right? And taking documents to the hospital to go meet some of these folks in person. And again, that brings me back to that boutique care.
Yeah.
That level of care that's there. And I mean, let's be honest, in today's day and age, a lot of that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Right?
The human aspect.
Yeah, the human aspect, and those types of house calls. And so I just think that you guys on your team do a really, really good job of just embracing, our clients and taking good care of them.